Hey guys, what is up, and welcome back to another episode of Apologists Ace Attorney. In the last episode, we were able to examine the wings, and we were able to help Clavier out with his missing cue of his song, and the body ended up disappearing, and we ended up finding it in the middle of the stage with Machi, and also the guitar was like strung around the body for some reason. But yeah, that was Darian's guitar. So yeah, now we're just gonna go ahead and keep on moving to the trial. Let's go. July 9th, 10 a.m., District Court, Courtroom Number 3. Court is now in session for, how do I say that? Machi Tobaya, Your Honor, the Pixia de Arpeggio. Arpeggio? Is it arpeggio or arpeggio? The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is A-OK, Herr Judge. Very well, Prosecutor Gavin. My opening statements, yeah? No, actually, there was something else I wanted to ask you about. Yes? Say you're going to visit someone in the hospital with an incurable disease. What do you say to them? Eh? I mean, you wouldn't say, get well soon, right? You'd only be kicking them doing the down. What are you talking about? Actually, I'm going to visit someone who is terminally ill. Right after this trial, the Chief Justice's son. The Chief Justice? His son is afflicted with the most terrible disease. He doesn't have long, it seems. So I thought I'd go pay him a visit. I thought saying something moving might be the order of the day.
Why don't grown-ups ever just say what's on their mind instead of pretending?
She's looking at me with something like disgust. Hey, what are you looking at me like that for? In any case, I'm a bit busy today, so let's wrap this up quickly. Prosecutor Gavin, your opening statement, briefly. You're in luck, Herr Judge. I believe you'll be going on your hospital visit sooner than you think. First, to review the victim in this case. Romain Letus, age 35. The global manager for Diva Songstress La Miroir. The cause of death, blood loss to being shot by a large caliber revolver. This report has all the details. The court accepts this into evidence. 45 caliber? That's quite large, isn't it? A direct hit from that could knock a man off his feet. However, the bullet struck him in the shoulder. The damage to the body was slight. Death was not immediate. Sadly, his blood loss was such that he could not be saved. I suppose the victim's condition could have been much worse, considering. 2 shots were fired. 1 shot missed, the other penetrated and passed through the victim's shoulder. Both bullets were found in the wall at the scene. Observe the diagram. This is where the bullets hit. I see. The courts accept this evidence. If we're talking about a 45 caliber revolver, we must assume that the killer was adept at the weapon's use.
Really?
Yeah, apparently weapons that size have a powerful kickback. If, say, the judge tried to fire one, it'd break every bone in his body. The defense will take more care in choosing his examples. As I was saying, the victim was shot backstage in a dressing room. This dressing room has only one entrance, this door. That does seem to be the case, yes. However, there were witnesses who heard the gunshots.
He's talking about you and Emma, huh?
Yet when the witnesses entered the room, it was empty, save for the victim's body, of course. But that's impossible! Exactly. This murder was impossible. For all but one person. One person? That is, of course, the defendant, Machi Tobaye. Only this defendant could have committed the crime? But how? It's quite simple. The circumstances of the crime scene make it clear. Very well. I assume you had testimony to back up this claim? Let the witness please take the stand. Your name and profession, please.
Emma Sky. I'm a detective for the police department. I was on security detail at the concert forum that night.
Emma seems tired somehow. Security at the concert, you say?
Some security I was. Couldn't even stop a murder.
No, don't blame yourself. Things like this happen. I've made even bigger mistakes in my career, you know? I'm sure that makes her feel much better.
I want to hear about these bigger mistakes.
In any case, because you were on security detail, the crime was quickly discovered, and we were able to identify the killer. You may give the court your testimony if you would. Describe the circumstances of that day and your discovery of the crime, please.
Alright. The night of the murder, I was on security backstage at Prosecutor Gavin's request. Only people involved with the concert in some way were allowed backstage. At the beginning of the third set, I heard shots. I went into the room, filled with blaring rock music, and found the body. I examined the scene and determined that only the defendant could have done it.
It was lucky that a detective was the first on the scene.
But that door was the only way out of the room, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Then I don't get it. How can they say that Machi did it?
Looks like we need a bit more information. Very well. The defense may begin the cross-examination.
The night of the murder, I was in security backstage. When people involved with the concert somewhere were allowed backstage. At the beginning of the third set, I heard shots.
I believe we were having a chat when we heard the shots.
You were the only one chatting. I was eating snackoos.
Oh, hey! No snacking in court! And you're sure the shots came from the Midawaj room? Yes, absolutely.
Hey, I'm the one being cross-examined here. Here, this'll keep you quiet.
Thanks. So, how about it, Emma?
You were right. They're hard to be mistaken. You were right. They're hard to be mistaken about that.
Please, either talk or read, not both at the same time.
Right. So after that, me and Mr. Lawyer there opened the dressing room door.
Rock?
Blaring, yes.
When you say rock, are you referring perhaps to this rock and roll music that's so popular these days?
That's right, when we went to the dressing room. They pipe sound from the stage into the backstage through the speakers. That way people in the back can hear when they're supposed to be on stage.
Did it have to be so loud? You don't listen to the governor's music with your ears. You feel it with your entire body and soul. I always had the backstage monitors at full volume.
When we walked into the room, the band was playing Guilty Love, I believe, making it easy to determine the time of the crime.
If you could hear that music playing, then everyone on stage for that song has an alibi, including myself.
Anyway, I closed off the scene and started my investigation.
How could you know something like that?
As I said, it was clear from the circumstances. Listen. We know that there was only one exit from the room, that door. That small window only opened a tiny crack, and I was standing in front of that door. So how could the killer have fled the scene? There's only one possibility, the air vent.
Oh! But that air vent was too small. Who could possibly...
Exactly. There's certainly no way you could get through, nor me. The only one who could fit through was a child.
A child?
Remember, access to those rooms was limited. Only those involved with the concert were allowed.
And of all the people involved with the concert, only one is small enough to be considered a child. The defendant? The pixie of the arpeggio fitted up towards the sky and disappeared from the scene of the crime. But that's just conjecture. Oh, there was no other way out of that room. You were there. You should know, Herr Forehead.
And there's another vital piece of evidence.
Evidence? What?
Marks were found on the air vent grill. Traces that it had recently been opened.
Wait, what?
And something else was found quite clearly. The defendant, Maji Tobaye's fingerprints.
What? Order! That air vent was the only way out of the room. The defendant's fingerprints were found on the grill. Well, Ed Forehead? What fairy tale does this suggest to you? Only one could pass through that vent, that doorway to heaven. And that one is our Pixie.
Why are you looking at me, Apollo? Hey, I was out opening up a...
So this was his decisive evidence. Quite decisive indeed. I know the circumstances under which the body was found. I was there.
An examination of the crime scene was enough to nail down the killer?
I'm sure they have a good reason. They must have had a good reason to arrest Machi. And I'm going to find out what it was. I mean, I already kind of know, but I guess we'll just press the rest of it. The night of the murder was the night of the concert, yes?
That's right.
What was the detective doing on security detail, might I ask? If it was only a concert.
My thoughts exactly. But orders are orders, even when they come from rock gods.
Prosecutor Gavin? Yes, allow me to explain. I smelled something that day. You might say the stench of conspiracy. That day at the concert hall. Conspiracy? Well, isn't it obvious? My keys! That whole morning! No, the whole day was ruined! And it's all because someone stole my keys. I couldn't ride my hog to the show. I couldn't open my guitar case.
There he goes again.
Isn't it possible he simply misplaced them? Misplaced them? Misplaced items don't just wander into a murder victim's hand on their own. What's this? Portuguese Gavin, if your keys were in the victim's hand, that makes you a prime suspect. Shit. No. Love, slow acting and new, Atra Quinine is waiting for you.
He's singing something.
I don't know the tune to that song. Does everything have to be... But this guy had to be so over the top? The killing happened in the middle of my concert. I was, like a sailor, adrift on the sea of sound. Anyway, I didn't want anything else stolen, so I put the detective with the most time on their hands on the task. I see. I can accept that.
Well, I can't. What do you mean, time on their hands?
I believe that's enough of that. The prosecution has a rather convincing case. The only way in and out of the crime scene was watched, making the defendant the only one who could possibly leave the scene. Simple and decisive. Ugh. I believe we've heard enough to determine our verdict, even if I wasn't in a hurry to make the hospital visit. I'm sure the Chief Justice will appreciate the gesture. Unfortunately, we have no direct witnesses. Fortunately, the criminal left decisive evidence for us. That will have to be enough. Ugh, it can't be over already. Very well, very well. I believe this trial to be finished. If the defense has no contradicting evidence, the prosecution has presented our proof, clear and plain. And if you have contradicting evidence, it better be clear and plain.
Apollo! They've got us on the ropes already! We better come up with something quick!
I know! Think, what can get us out of this? We need evidence, or a witness, that can prove Machi is innocent beyond a doubt. Without that... Mr. Justice, do you have contradicting proof that can overturn the prosecution's case? If you do, you better tell us about it now. This is it, and so soon. If I mess this one up, it's all over. The court wants contradicting proof? Prosecutor Gavin, you claim that there were no witnesses to this crime. Are you absolutely sure? Absolutely. I'd swear it on my career as a prosecutor. And on my million-seller hit song, Atra Quinine, my love.
There he goes again.
That's too bad, because there was a witness. Oh, really now? But how did you come to possess knowledge of the prosecution clearly does not? Because I'm the only one in the world who knows this. What's going on? I just talked to him and now... He's alive! Mr. Latouche, can you hear me? Cold. So cold. Witness. You're cold? Don't worry. You're gonna be fine. Help is on the way. Can't see Hang in there, Mr. Latus. Tell me, who was the witness? Witness is Siren. What? The victim said this before he died? Perhaps he did, and perhaps he did not. What do you mean by that? All we know is what Herr Forehead says he said. There's no testimony, especially since it comes from the defense attorney himself. But it's the truth. He said it. I even told you about it. But apparently you ignored me completely. It's my policy to fully investigate everything I deem relevant. Clearly, this rookie lawyer thinks he can tell me how to do my job. That's enough. Mr. Justice, we need clear contradictory proof from you. This witness of yours, unknown to the prosecution. I hope you're right. Failure carries a stiff penalty. Perhaps a stiffer penalty than usual is called for? There's no backing out now. Let's hear the name of your witness, Mr. Justice. Le Miroir? Recall Mr. Latus's last words. Witness is Siren. The Siren? Oh, he meant Siren! That's right, the Siren of the ballad, Le Miroir. Le Miroir was only on stage for the second set, and she had access to the backstage area. She could have been a witness. I see. Well, Prosecutor Gavin, my claim still stands. There was no witness to this crime. Very well. Let's hear from the horse's mouth then, shall we? We will now take a break from Detective Emma Sky's cross-examination. Please show Le Miroir to the witness stand. Le Miroir would say nothing the night of the murder. Not today, though. Today we'll drag that story out of her no matter what it is. It is my distinct honor to welcome the Siren of the Ballad to our courtroom.
You are too kind.
Oh, you can speak English?
Yes, I can. Though I'm not very good. There is much I do not know.
You speak so well! Have you spent time here before?
Actually, I do not know how I came by my knowledge of your language, nor where I studied it.
What does she mean she doesn't know? I too thought to call her as a witness, but I did not. I had a reason, of course. What's that? Le Miroir suffers from amnesia. Amnesia?
Le Miroir is not my true name, yet I remember nothing of the time before I was given it. Nothing of the time before I started singing on stage. Whoa, she's even more mysterious than I thought.
As lauded singer Le Miroir, she lives a good life. There are little difficulties for her thanks to her success, yet I did not wish to subject her to unnecessary stress. I see. I care surprisingly little for about people's pasts. You have nothing to fear for this court, Le Miroir.
Thank you. Yet there is something I do not understand. I am being called as a witness? What might I say? No one will tell me anything of what happened.
Le Miroir, let me be frank. I did not want to ask you up here to testify, yet that young gentleman with the wide forehead over there was adamant that you stand.
Oh my! Congratulations, Apollo! You're the bad guy!
Well, now that you're here, please give us your testimony. If nothing else, the sound of your voice is welcome. Tell us what you saw the night of the crime.
As for what I saw nothing. That night I was invited to sing on stage, and this I did. I did not return backstage after the second set. Then I was led by the police to Mr. Gavin's dressing room and told to wait there. That was where I learned that something bad had happened, but I wasn't told the details.
I must say, you sound wonderful just testifying. I hope he was too distracted to hear what she was actually saying. There you have it. She saw nothing that night. Now we can only pray that the defense has some sense to admit defeat, and refrain from detaining her here any longer than need be.
Wow, you just got better, Apollo. Way to go.
Very well, Mr. Justice. Keep it short and sweet. Le Miroir wouldn't talk to me the night of the crime. She must know something, and I've got to find out what. I guess we press. But you must have seen something. Mr. Latouche named you.
Mr. Latouche? How can I tell you what I don't know?
Miss Lemiroir, he said you were a witness with his dying words.
I do not know what he meant to say, but that night...
It was a great concert.
You heard me sing? Thank you.
I was hoping to get an autograph later, actually.
Of course.
Mr. Justice, this is a cross-examination. You're out of line. If anyone deserves an autograph here, it's me. One on my gavel would be nice. Head Judge. Well, what's this? It's my autograph. Now keep this trial going. What? Oh, my grandchild would be so happy. Apparently, his grandson is a big fan. Let us continue, shall we? If you would, Lemiroir. Tell us what you did after your stellar performance. Oh, it's this. I'm sorry, Lemiroir, but I'm having trouble believing you. You remember this brooch, do you not? Why, that's Lemiroir's. She was wearing it for her song. Care to add that to the testimony, Prosecutor Gavin? What? This brooch was found after the murder took place. At the very scene of the crime. What? Lemiroir, how did your brooch get backstage if you did not go there yourself? And as Prosecutor Gavin has just told us, you had been wearing it during your performance that night. What is the meaning of this, Lemiroir? Please explain. Lemiroir? She says, English is quite difficult. That trick's not gonna work here. Your forehead may be large, but you are a lawyer, truly. But you have missed one important fact. What now? In fact, at the time of the incident, I went backstage, but only for a moment. What? Think back to the moments of the crime. You know whereof I speak. Is she really saying all that?
What's she talking about, Apollo?
Right when the incident occurred. Is she talking about that?
Watch this room for me. I have to call for backup.
Right, I understood. You want me to make sure no one comes in, right? Mr. Latouche, can you hear me? Cold. So cold. Witness. You're cold? Don't worry, you're gonna be fine. Help is on the way. The witness is Siren. Siren? How can a siren witness anything? Yipes! Emma! What was that? Who's there? What's wrong? Emma, did you see anyone just now?
Huh? No.
I could have sworn I heard a door close.
I looked into the room. Just a glance, mind you.
So this was when your brooch dropped? That explains that.
It does. There was no other time I could have dropped it.
But that's ridiculous! You only looked for an instant, but you dropped your brooch? Head forehead. She has raised the possibility. The only thing that can counter that is evidence. So she looked in at the crime scene.
Actually, I intended to go into the dressing room. I knew nothing of what had happened, of course. But the moment I opened the door, I heard a horrible voice.
Head forehead shouting, "Who's there?" No doubt. A horrible voice indeed. Ugh.
I closed the door immediately.
Well, that explains the brooch. Let's return to your testimony. That's too convenient. She's hiding something. Lemiroir, you did look into the room though, right?
Yes.
Testify as to what you saw.
Very well, though it was only the briefest of glimpses. When my performance was finished, I went backstage for just a moment. I saw nothing. The late Latouche's body was behind a wall, then I was led by the police to Mr. Gavin's dressing room.
The bracelet is here. What do I do? Oh my god, wait. The late Mr. Latus's body, you say? Yes? You know something more about Mr. Latus's death than you were saying. What? I could see you trying not to remember, but the effort made you swallow. You can't fool my eyes. It is true. It was so terrible after all. Why did Mr. Latus have to be shot? One moment, Le Miroir. Yes? What was that you just said? Why did Mr. Latus have to be shot? Yes? She was hiding something, I knew it! Le Miroir, I'm afraid you haven't realized it, but... Your words just now contradict your testimony. Huh? How could that be? Take this! Le Miroir contradicted her own testimony, and I have the evidence to prove it. I do? I mean, well, I guess she shouldn't have known? If... Tell me, Le Miroir, how did you know he had been shot? Well, Immediately following the incident, a gag order was placed on the scene. This is the document proving that. In your testimony, you told the court. No one told me anything about the incident. Furthermore, you testified that you had seen nothing. Yet you knew that Mr. Latus had been shot. How could you have known? Ah! Le Miroir! You aren't hiding something from this court, I hope? That sweet song of hers was sounding a little too sweet. Now I remember. Please, allow me to add to my testimony. Of course. All we want to know is the truth. She looks kind of pale, huh? She saw something, I know it. Even the victim said so. I saw bullet holes in the wall and knew Mr. Latus had been shot. I'm dying, dude. Oh, that was it. Cool. Le Miroir, they call you the siren of the ballad, but lies are hardly becoming of such a creature. A put-down worthy of our prosecutor, Mr. Justice. Such put-downs are hardly becoming of you, Apollo. Stop polishing your forehead and start polishing your character, yeah? Come on, can't I be cool for once? Observe the diagram. Le Miroir, you looked in from the door for just a moment, correct? Yes, that is so. There were bullet holes in the room, yes? But they were in the wall the door is on. Huh? You see? Assuming you merely glanced into the room, you couldn't have seen those bullet holes. Ah! Le Miroir. Yes? I'm afraid the defense has raised a good point. It appears you have been holding back something. And I must tell you what it is that I saw? Yes. The happenings in this trial are being recorded, and I'm certain it will be on the news in Bulgaria. You understand your reputation is at stake. It falls to you to avoid tarnishing it. Personally speaking, I still believe that cross-examining her will yield us absolutely nothing. But she knew how Mr. Latus died, and he named her as a witness. You must have seen something, Le Miroir. Very well. Le Miroir, please continue your testimony. Very well, I shall. I was on my way from the stage to the backstage exit. There was something like a little window there. That's how I saw it. There were 2 shots. I couldn't do anything to stop it. But it wasn't Machi. It was a grown person. I know it was. So you did witness the crime. And the killer was a grown person, you say? Ah, this is my first time hearing this, I assure you. Nice play, Herr Forehead. Very well. Mr. Justice, you may begin your cross-examination.
Great going, Apollo. You were right about Le Miroir. What's wrong? You don't look too happy.
This whole thing smells fishy. That's what's wrong. I don't know what to do. A grown person? That's a little vague.
I am sorry. My skill with your language is lacking, I know.
Certainly you could at least see whether the shooter was male or female.
It was a man. A young man.
And you're sure of that?
Yes. His voice was quite clear.
Voice? Looking at this diagram, it seems the dressing room is quite cluttered. It does seem likely that you wouldn't have had a clear view of the shooter.
As a singer, I rely more on my ears than my eyes. When I hear a voice, I do not forget it. That voice was the voice of a man.
So you heard the voice, but wait. Couldn't that have been the victim, Mr. Latouche?
Absolutely not. Did I not just say that I do not forget a voice? If it was Mr. Latouche who spoke, I would have known.
Indeed. So you were at the window when you heard the shooter's voice, the voice of a young man.
Apollo, this is a good testimony. That proves it wasn't Machi.
Indeed. If this turns out to be true, it would cast this case in a considerably different light. What is the defense's opinion of this testimony? Oh no. It's like normally we would say it's contradictory, but I mean if it's not Machi, I don't know. I really don't want to say that it's contradictory because it's really good for our case. I don't even know if it's contradictory. I don't know what we have to do. Though it pains me to say this, there's something about Lemiroir's testimony that brings faults. Bravo, Herr Forehead. You're colder than I thought. I'm sure you remember what the problem is as well as I do, Gavin. As has been established, no grown man could pass through that air vent. He couldn't have fled the scene of the crime.
But that means Lemiroir has to be lying.
I know. And I know it's bad for our case, but I can't shut my eyes to this. Believe me, the idea was tempting. It is as Herr Forehead says. Yet this is not the only contradiction within her testimony. What's next? What's he talking about? Lemiroir, I understand why you would want to protect Machi. Yet remember, you are the silent of the ballad, and lies do not become such a creature. What does the prosecution mean?
Apollo, what's he talking about?
How come no one bats an eye when he says stuff like that? I recall the state of the crime quite well. The state of the room? Yes, and when the murder took place, that window was closed. I find it hard to believe that you could hear a voice through it.
What? But I'm sure.
Lemiroir, I have nothing but the highest regard for your musical sense, but my opinion of you as a witness is somewhat lesser. But she's the only eyewitness we have. So you say. And the victim named her the Siren as the witness? That's right. That's what Mr. Latouche. We heard your claim. We even entertained the possibility, and it brought us to this. Herr Judge. Yes? The prosecution requests that the witness be excused. Please. I'm afraid I must honor the prosecution's request. There is indeed a question of the witness's credibility. But if Lemiroir can't testify,
then we don't have a chance of proving Machi's innocence.
This cross-examination is over. Prosecutor Gavin, you may continue making your case. Thank. Now where were we? Ah, yes. I would like to hear the Fraulein detective again. Wait, let me hear Lemiroir's testimony one last time. But the cross-examination is already over. Until such a time as a need arises, this witness may leave the stand.
I'm sorry I could not be of more assistance.
At last, back to the real trial. Ready, Herr Forehead? I hope I didn't just miss my only chance. Fraulein Detective, how far have we gotten until we were so rudely interrupted?
Don't ask me.
I dislike saying the same thing twice, and I never repeat a song for an encore. If you would, Miss Sky.
I believe I was saying that the only way Mr. Latouche's killer could have escaped was through that air vent on the ceiling.
Oh yes, there was only one door in the room, and a witness, you, was standing in front of it.
That air vent isn't very big, see? Kinda limits the people who could possibly get through.
I certainly would have a difficult time.
You sure would. Not that you would have been in there in the first place, though. Remember, the whole backstage area was off-limits to people not involved with the concert. The only people who meets the conditions for our killer is the defendant.
A virtuoso performance. I couldn't have put it better myself. She does state a clear case. Though reading the report, something caught my eye. Oh? What's that? The circumstances of the defendant's arrest. The circumstances? Again?
Hey, that's right, Apollo. Remember when we found Machi? That was bizarre.
She's right. Why did Mr. Latusse's body disappear from the room? And end up on top of that stage tower? Holding a guitar, no less. A perceptive observation here, Judge. Oh, thanks. It was kind of an accident, really. But you're working this job long enough. You get a nose for things.
The judge sure seems sweet with himself.
Very good. Fraulein Detective, perhaps you can tie it all together for us? Why was the body moved? And how does that lead us to the killer?
Alright, I think that's where we're gonna stop for today. Roll the end card.
Objection! You haven't hit like and subscribe yet! Hold it! You forgot to ring the bell to get notified whenever I upload! Take that! Click here to watch more of my videos! Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye!